Super Bowl 60 is now in the books, and it was an ass kicking as the Seattle Seahawks beat up on the New England Patriots. How did it happen? Did we enjoy it? Let's find out and break everything down, shall we? So, Super Bowl 60, it goes to the Seattle Seahawks, and just what a performance. Like, just one of the truly great performances that you will see in football, let alone in the Super Bowl. Like, that's something that if you saw in the regular season, be like, okay, we got to move this team up the power rankings a little bit. But instead, it's the Seahawks who go out and get the job done. Just, again, cannot state enough the incredible performance that we saw from this defense. And they had Drake Maye seeing ghosts the whole way. We're going to talk a lot about what went wrong with New England, but make no mistake about it. This was more what Seattle did right than what New England did wrong. I don't think there's any debating that. This was dominance. There's no other way to put it. And they had Drake Maye seeing ghosts. Even when there wasn't pressure coming, he felt like he was under pressure. I joked about it on the radio out here in Calgary today. It felt like his first read was to his left tackle. Like, all right, down to Omaha, hut, and drop back. And instead of look for receiver, it is hut. And he goes, and first check is to the left tackle. Like, all right, how much time do I have before I'm getting killed? Shit, I've already got hit. And he would check, and then, okay, what's going on? Where is anything that's happening? Huh? And it wouldn't really work. I'm dropping my pen. That's how stressful that situation is. I have said a number of times, when a defense can get pressure to the point when even they're not getting pressure, the quarterback feels rushed, that's elite. That is ass kicking at the finest level. And that's what this defense was able to do. And then on top of that, they were able to completely shut down the run game. There wasn't a whole lot of help from Ramondre Stevenson. There was not a whole lot of help from Henderson either, giving them anything to give this defense any reason to back off at all. And then Seattle mixed, I thought, their coverages and their pressures very, very effectively. Where, like last year, it was Philadelphia making a statement, getting after Patrick Mahomes, only needing to rush 4. That was the dominance that they did. This was not that. They got there a lot, only rushing 4. But there was also, like, that Witherspoon blitz was lethal. The Patriots are going to spend all offseason going just like, what the was that thing that happened? That's going to be one of the things. Like, Drake Maye is going to wake up in cold sweats with Witherspoon just hurtling at him like it's NFL blitz and driving him into the turf. It was in his face all game long. And again, coming from different angles, coming from different spots, and just really beating this quarterback up. And the big part of it, I said before, it was Will Campbell. And I understand he is a rookie. I understand that he's banged up going into this one. You will pardon the rest of the NFL for not really listening to the woe is me from the Patriots that Drake Maye was a little bit banged up and Will Campbell was a little bit banged up when you got to play Jared Stidham and the Houston Texans, where Andre Johnson at 50 was their number one wide receiver. And then the Chargers, who lost both of their tackles. Like, let's not go down that path, shall we, Patriots fans? So yes, like, Will Campbell could develop from this, could learn from this. I don't even know if I would fully 100 support booting him from your starting lineup next year. But there is no other way to put it. He was a problem. He was a big problem on Sunday. And, like, to the point where, like, I had to go back and watch his draft because I swore I heard him say, I'll die for Drake Maye. When really it looked like he must have meant, oh, I'm going to get that kid killed. Oh boy, no, you don't want anything to do with me around that. It's going to be curtains for that dude. He was completely dominated in this game and in the playoffs. And so now it does leave an interesting question. And we'll look at offseason previews as the week goes on. But it does lead to an interesting question where you have to start wondering, what does this team do? Because they have a very good roster. There's no doubting that. I did the stuff throughout the week about, like, are the Patriots actually good? And they're not going to go 14-3 next season. As currently constructed. They can make some moves, but as currently constructed, this isn't a 14-3 team next year. But it's a good football team with a lot of good pieces. You've seen some of the players step up here in this playoff, and in this Super Bowl, a few players stepped up as well. You wouldn't know it from looking at the scoreboard, but a few players stepped up in this game as well. That was a glaring weak spot, though. The problem is now, they're not going to be picking super high in the draft this year, and this isn't a great offensive line draft. ESPN has 5 offensive tackles in the first round right now on their board, or the first round ranking, anyway, on their board, and the first 2 are in the top 10. So there isn't going to be that, oh, well, don't worry, at 30 we got our starting left tackle over the kid we drafted last year with the T-Rex arms. There isn't going to be that. It's also not a great offensive line free agent class, because they never are, because those dudes, as we've seen, kind of important. So that obvious answer isn't going to be out there. The obvious answer for New England is that kid gets better. That kid who got worked by Myles Garrett and then got hurt and then had a really rough playoff, they are hoping that he can kind of step it up in the next years. And by the way, like, he could. That is not out of the realm of possibility, but it is something they need to get figured out, because otherwise, like, get this kid a couple more weapons and it's go time again for the New England Patriots. The other part of this, though, is we all knew this was a problem going in. I don't think the Patriots play calling helped out Drake Maye at all, and I am surprised by that. Because, like, Josh McDaniels, I have my thoughts on him as a head coach. Raider fan here. That didn't go particularly awesome. So, like, he's not a great head coach. Offensive play caller, one of the best. He's been to a ton of Super Bowls just based on his ability to help manage an offense as a coordinator. So I was surprised at how dummied he got in this game by Seattle's defense and by their play calling as well. And just like, this is one... I come on here and talk about all these things and all of that, but I am aware that there is, like, there's a higher standard to some of this with guys who've been there before and coaches and all that stuff. Like, they have all this time to focus on this, and I'm doing a few other things. So if I think I'm pretty smart at it, but still, if I am picking up, like, hey, that left tackle thing's a problem for you guys, and they got a really fast defense, so you might want to figure that out. If I'm noticing that, and the analysts on TV are noticing that, then surely to God, the Patriots probably should have picked up on that. But it really felt like it was plan A, run the offense as normal. Plan B, hope plan A works. But it wasn't even the offense as normal. It was the Tom Brady offense. Like, hey, let's have one of the best scramblers in the National Football League. Let's have him hang out in the pocket like a statue, like he's Tom Brady. Let's run the Tom Brady playbook for a guy who, not quite the level of quarterback that Tom Brady is, but about 1 billion times the scrambler that Tom Brady was. And just nothing. There was no creativity. There was no moving him off the spot at all or creating any kind of a threat to run. When I was breaking this game down, and throughout the week, I was saying Seattle blowout. I really thought you just go up and down the roster. Seattle's better, Seattle's better, Seattle's better, Seattle's better. The thing that could have equalized all of that is if Drake Maye just went nuts running the football. If he is going out extending plays and creating some havoc down the field, creating some openings, or if he's having those drive extending, back breaking runs on 3rd and 8 and he scrambles out and there's an opening and it's a first down. We finally saw that in the second half of the game. And as someone who had over 6.5 rushing attempts for him, I was noticing that they weren't running it with him all that often. I was very surprised that there was nothing about it. And even if you want to go in and be like, you know what? We're the New England by God Patriots. We are not afraid of anybody. So we're going to go out and we're just going to run our game plan, and that's going to be enough. And then it's 9-0 at the half and you have an hour to figure out what next to do. Fix something. And I know in football, fans can get a little bit too, adjustments, you have to make adjustments, as if they haven't been working on this all week, and then they can go, you know what, I think a 3-4 defense works for us now. That's not obviously going to happen, but you're getting your ass beat on the left side, and your franchise quarterback is getting killed out there. How is there not even a, hey, let's see if we can chip a guy or something, try to figure something out. And then they did the spread thing for like 3 plays, and it worked until that blitz came again, and then everything was spread open, and it looked like the longest yard with Drake Maye just getting pile driven into the turf. So again, there was nothing from New England that led you to believe they had any idea that left tackle or offensive line was going to be a problem against one of the best defenses in the National Football League. So I was surprised. I understand not wanting to overdo it with the play action, because Drake Maye with his back to the line didn't feel like a safe space for the quarterback, but there was nothing to try to get anything going. I criticized Denver's offensive play calling last week there was games, for how pedestrian and nothing there was helping out a lesser quarterback. This game plan made that look like the CFL, where there's motion all over the place and craziness going on. This was so bland and so uncreative and just awful for New England. It was a bad day. It was a bad day. Overall, I think New England's coaching staff had a bad day. They're put in a tough spot too. Like, I have on my notes here the times where I think they kind of messed up a little bit. Vrabel's an amazing coach. Just put that out there. But, like, not going for 2 when you can make it an 11-point game, that's a mistake. That's an obvious mistake. And again, they didn't help Drake Maye with any kind of creativity or anything at all. That there was nothing in the game plan to make life easier for Drake Maye other than, I don't know, kid, figure it the fuck out. That was basically it for him the entire way. And then the not going for it on 4th down either, I do think was a mistake, but I can understand where the mistake comes from. Like, that's one that I get that one. Because, like, you have a team that feels like they've been under siege a little bit. And so I can understand when you get to 4th and 4 or 4th and 2, it's like, you know what? We need to make a stand. We're going to go for it, and we're going to get this thing rolling. They were averaging 2 yards a game, or 2 yards a play in this game. So I can see why, until they went on the big run in the 4th quarter with the garbage time stuff, but you can see why they wouldn't exactly feel great about trying to go out and get it on 4th and 2. And then even if they did, to what end? Like, maybe you get a spark, and maybe it does get something going. That can absolutely happen. But the way the game was going, all you were doing, if you went forward on 4th and 2, was just giving yourself the lovely honor of getting whooped on for 3 more plays before you'd have to punt it again. So I can understand some of the decisions of not wanting to do that. And I do think a lot of it comes down to, and we'll talk about him in a second, I do think a lot of it comes down to hoping that the Sam Darnold of old would show up. Like, our offense isn't getting anything done, so the phrase we've been hearing for a bit, any drive that ends in a kick is a good drive. Just kick it away, kick it deep, and if they're going 87 yards, that is 87 yards worth of space that our high-level defense has to try to make Sam Darnold, who up until 18 months ago was a laughingstock of a quarterback, we have 87 yards to make that guy make a mistake. We're going to bet on that. And I do think that was part of the game plan as well, especially once it became clear this team couldn't move the ball for a lick, and Seattle just was completely dominating. And then the last part of it too, I don't put it all on him, but Drake Maye wasn't great either. This was not a game where he showered himself in glory by any stretch of the imagination. I'm getting on them for the lack of scrambling and stuff like that. Dude wasn't leashed to the line of scrimmage. He could have gone out and done that as well. But again, there was no time. And the pressure was coming from everywhere. And like I said, his first look is looking behind him to see how his tackle is doing. And then he has to get reset. Like, I am kind of exaggerating it. But that is something you would see sometimes, is just a quick little and now you have to figure out where this quick defense is and where everything is going. And it snowballed on the kid. But there was no rolling out to try to save himself. There was no anything. Like, he looked overwhelmed in the moment. And again, a lot of that comes from Seattle's defense. But when you really start to notice it in the second half of this game is the couple rare occasions where he had a clean pocket and a clean dude to throw to, and it wasn't close. It looked like Madden 06, where you put the quarterback vision the wrong way and then pass to a dude on the other side, and it just goes all over the place. Like, it looked like he was throwing a balloon out there, which is kind of funny with the Patriots, but it looked like a kid's party and you're trying to do like the floor is lava thing, and you're keep it off so it doesn't whatever, and it just goes wherever the hell it wants to go. Like, it looked bad. It looked really, really bad. And so, again, the Patriots are not blameless in this whole thing. A lot of this was Seattle forcing them into all of these bad situations and just being a far superior football team than the one that they were facing in the 60th Super Bowl. But New England also didn't do anything to help themselves in the biggest game of the year. And that was pretty surprising, I would suggest. That really, really did catch me off guard.